Just finished SaaStr Europe 2024, but was it worth it? Let's find out.
Awesome, cool walkout music.
Well, why am I vlogging this in the first place? I've wanted to attend SaaStr for 3 years now, but never actually made the time. I was busy. But now that I'm working alone, I try to attend a SaaS, sales, or startup event once a month. And although this was my first time at SaaStr, I've already exhibited and attended multiple events before, so I had some expectations going in. Let's see if it was worth it. Because I'm consulting startups and helping them get started with direct sales, I need to know what's up. So one of my expectations was to get industry insights from leaders on the front line, what's working and what isn't. I also engage with other creators like me on LinkedIn on a day-to-day basis, but it's finally good to put a face to the name, and these events are just one of the places where you can do that. So getting industry insights, networking with other creators like me, getting insights from the front lines from other like-minded professionals, these were the three main things, but there's one more thing. Building alone gets super lonely, and that's why I try to attend an event like this once a month, so I feel as I'm part of a community and not just working alone behind my screen. So these were my expectations going in there. Let's see what the reality was like. If you watched the previous podcast episode on how to get the most out of your events, you'll know that there's a preparation phase, what happens on the event and what happens after the event. And this one was no different. Going into the event, I wanted to know what talks I want to sit in on that actually help me in the day-to-day consulting, but also book meetings beforehand so I know who I'm going to talk to and catch up with. One of the things that was super useful here was the SaaStr mobile app, where you had a map of the venue so you never get lost. You could like, favorite, and book your seats for the talks that you wanted to attend. And there was a third thing that I found super cool, which they're calling brain dates. It's basically a small group workshop where you submit a topic that you want to discuss with others, or you could see what other topics have been submitted before and you can attend these group discussions. Whatever it was, if you like the topic, you could join freely and discuss with like-minded individuals so you know what's working and what isn't. One of the things that I would have loved to see is a complete list of who will be attending SaaStr so I can book meetings with people that I want to meet there. I had this amazing experience in 2018 when attending Web Summit. Imagine this, 40,000 attendees, and you're just leaving to chance that you're going to be meeting people that you actually want to talk to. And there, you could just, if you were an attendee, you could access the entire attendee list with their name, company, and title, and you could reach out to them over chat, asking if they're open to having a conversation about whatever it was that you wanted to talk about. And that's exactly what I was expecting for SaaStr to provide as well, but unfortunately, there was no such opportunity, and if you wanted to meet others, it had to be through brain dates. To get around this, I posted on LinkedIn that I'll be at SaaStr, who else will be attending, DM me so we can catch up. I did the same thing on Pavilion. Pavilion is a global community of revenue professionals, and they have a Slack channel for members where I just posted, hey, I'm going to be at SaaStr this year. Happy to catch up with anyone who will be there. And that's, for instance, how I got invited to one of the after parties hosted by Chart Mogul, which was a cocktail mixing masterclass. Again, shout out to the team, had a blast. Arriving at the event, my first impressions were pretty good. I was one of the first ones to arrive, so I didn't even have to wait in line to get my badge. Got my badge, got my coffee, had a walk around. Organization was superb, nothing to complain about there. The speakers and topics were a hit or miss if you ask me, but the good ones actually made it worthwhile. The key difference between the good topics, the good speakers, and the ones that left me like meh, was that the good speakers actually packaged their facts and insights up into stories, whereas the not so good ones, they just went through slide by slide and failed to actually capture the attention of the audience. So as far as industry insights and these talks go, I got what I came for. So what about networking, especially when you're attending these events alone? Maybe because this was my first time attending SaaStr, to me it felt a bit foreign. Yes, there were people like me who also attended alone and they were easy to pick out from the crowd. And then there were groups of people either working at the same company or people who already knew each other from before. But if you're attending alone without a plan, I could see how it could be difficult to start a conversation. But that's where brain dates, which I mentioned before, might come handy. Lucky for me, I have 3 tried and true ways of starting conversations with strangers. If they're alone, I would walk up to them and ask, hey, are you also attending SaaStr alone? Cool. So what made you want to attend in the first place? Sounds simple enough, right? But what if it's a group of people we're talking about that are already in conversation? My go-to question in this case is to ask, hey, is this a private conversation or can anyone join in? 9 times out of 10, they're gonna be like, sure, join in. And then you can ask, cool, so what was the topic, just so I don't hijack the conversation? Works like a charm. And in this case, because I was walking around with my vlogging gear, I had a third one, which was, are you open to answering 2 questions to contribute to the vlog? So networking wise, if you came without a plan, you're going to be disappointed. But if you took the time to prepare, either by catching up with the community on who's going to be there or attending these brain dates, you're going to have a blast. But the real treat at the end of the event was that Jason Lemkin himself hosted a Q&A session where you could ask him anything and he would give his 2 cents on the topic. And at the end of that session, you could catch him for a short conversation at happy hours where you can just get his 2 cents on whatever was on your mind. He was totally down to earth and helpful despite being exhausted by the end of the event, so that was a real cherry on top. So who is SaaStr for, and is it worth the $500 to $800 in ticket price? If you're gonna be there to network, get clients, discover potential partnership opportunities, sure, I'd say it's worth attending at least once. But if all you're interested in is the latest industry trends and insights, then you're probably better off watching the recordings on YouTube. In this case, they were streamed live, which you could then rewatch after the fact. So knowing what I know now, will I attend SaaStr next year? And the answer is maybe. There are many sales, SaaS, and startup events even in Europe, and sometimes they overlap. And I want to explore which ones make more sense for me to attend. But maybe the flagship event in SF, because I've heard that it's 5 times bigger and the people I've talked to who attended that before say that that was super worth it. So that was my goal. Why did others want to attend and what were their key takeaways? Let's check them out.
So I am building a B2B SaaS company. So for me, having all of this sort of knowledge and connections all in one place is incredibly valuable.
I've been to 2 other SaaStrs, so I know it's a great community. And we've actually just rolled out a new sales methodology, so there's not a better opportunity to work with SaaS companies and leaders and try to help them scale and grow.
Been kind of consuming a lot of the SaaStr content, both the stateside ones for annual as well as Europa virtual for a few years now.
Well, the reason I attended SaaStr in the first place was I followed Jason Lemkin. I attended a lot of his online webinars that they do every Wednesday. And some of the topics were of great interest to me. So as a founder and a startup, I felt that this would be a place to come to.
I wanted to attend SaaStr to network, get to know people in the SaaS world, and it's my first event, and it's been going great.
So I came across SaaStr through Jason's content on Twitter. So I'm a huge fan of the stuff that he puts out there. As I'm personally growing my career in the SaaS industry, I found it really easy to consume information. So that brought me to the event today. And yeah, it really reflects the stuff that he puts out there. So it's been great.
I think it's a combination of 2 things. First is the startups and the founders who are here, and then secondly the content, which is really good.
I'd say definitely the networking opportunities at the end, where you build those relationships, has been probably the most important part for us.
It's very helpful to expose myself to smart people that are not willing to accept the status quo and present them my ideas and get challenged by these people. And that's what happens here. A lot of bright people, a lot of constructive non-conformists.
I'm building a sales product myself, so of course I wanted to connect with other sales and marketing leaders and pitch my product, but also learn from others as well.
I heard a lot of such things about how amazing this conference is, and that inspired me that let me have a look at Europe first and then think of the US one.
The combination of real heavyweights who know what they're talking about, who are here sharing like their key lessons and takeaways from personal experiences they have had in the industry, whether that's on the investor side or the building side of things. Obviously really great. You end up with some things that really kind of stick in your mind. So for example, last year for me that was about building a team and how much equity you would give to different people joining at different parts in the journey, and it seems like a really silly thing, but it's not something that's spoken about a lot, so uncovering those things. But also the people that you meet, everyone is building in this space. Everyone has big ambitions and at different scales. So everyone has either got advice or case studies or something to offer that's relevant to you?
Most SaaS companies still are in way too reactive mode, and so they've tried to cut their way to growth, and they've realized that's not working. They have competition creeping in from all sides. And so basically what you see is people trying to find a resettling of how do they go more proactively out and find the right kind of business, and then how do they actually get their go-to-market teams to work all the way through the process to build high-quality business and not just transactional business.
Session on digital CS and how we can scale a CS strategy across the B2B SaaS business, which is hugely applicable to what I do at Triple Max, which is awesome.
I think the main takeaway is that it's probably too soon, probably for a company, for where I am today, because I'm pre-revenue. I think a lot of the benefits I probably should have come would be right for me if I was maybe 1 million ARR and above. I think if you're pre-revenue or very, very early, maybe some of the sessions or the discussions are not really relevant, or maybe you shouldn't be here in the first place, so you don't have the time to be here. You should be out selling. So I think I would definitely come back, but maybe not the following year, maybe at the time when I'm just a bit more established.
Everyone is very open to like talking to you, sharing what they do, listening to what you do, and also following up later and staying in touch. So I've met a lot of interesting people, and we'll see today during happy hour how the rest goes.
For me, it's the reoccurring theme of AI. So we use it in our organization, it's in our products, but for me, it's when you go through a number of different talks and it's just constant, and I think it's just re-emphasized for me how groundbreaking it is right now and how much it's going to change our industry. So it's making me think a bit harder about how we can utilize it at our company and also how it's going to impact our customers.
The fundraising is tough for everybody. There is very limited liquidity, which doesn't really make things easier. Still, the best founders, will be funded, so that's a good news. Also, what was very interesting is about the product-led growth versus sales-led growth, the combination of both. So there were some really cool informative sessions, and the one also on product market fit by Octopus Ventures. That was also really nice.
Today has been a bit more AI driven, so I've enjoyed that. But yeah, I'd say that's the main takeaway from yesterday. It was more the fact I wish there was more AI, but turns out they've got it all today anyway. So
my impression is that there are less really bold ideas. There's a lot of hesitation right now that has to do with the decreased availability of capital over the last couple of years, and it's much more difficult to stand out, to find acceptance among the VCs as a startup. You have to look into unit economies and stuff like that.
That sales is changing a lot. So AI has been a big change in sales and marketing. And we need to be aware of that, and we need to adapt our sales motions.
You need to think of the holistic strategy to, run the product-led growth.
That's it for the vlog, but if you're working in sales, hit subscribe. I cover topics from prospecting to closing, and I've been doing this for 10 years. Get started with this video and let me know in the comments what you want to see next. See you there.